Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Let's get started with Mangalacharan prayers. Today we are going to discuss the 4th chapter of the 1st canto of Srimad-Bhagavatam. Om Ajnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajata Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitanscha Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swami iti namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Tvise Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So last time we discussed till verse number 8 of the 4th chapter of Srimad-Bhagavatam, 1st canto. So we discussed how Shaunak Rishi welcomed and encouraged Srila Suta Goswami. When Srila Suta Goswami told towards the end of the 3rd chapter that I can narrate the Srimad-Bhagavatam according to my realization, just as I have heard it from the lotus mouth of Srila Shukadeva Goswami when he spoke Srimad-Bhagavatam to Maharaj Pariksha on the banks of the Ganga. I can repeat it to all of you. Because the final question was after Krishna, out of the 6 questions, the final question was after Lord Krishna went back to the spiritual world, Krishna Swadhama Bhagate, where did knowledge and dharma take refuge? And in response, Srila Suta Goswami replied that dharma has taken refuge in Srimad-Bhagavatam. This Purana Arka, the sun-like Bhagavat Puran, is the source of all dharma, and it will give vision to the blind people of Kali Yuga. Then Srila Suta Goswami suggested I can recite this Srimad-Bhagavatam. It was spoken by Srila Shukdev Goswami to Maharaj Pariksha, and I was there listening. As soon as Srila Suta Goswami offered to recite Srimad-Bhagavatam, all the sages, the thousands and thousands of sages who had assembled at Naimisharanya, they were very happy. And their leader, who was the eldest and the most experienced sage, Shri Shaunak Rishi, he got up and he glorified Srila Suta Goswami. He encouraged Srila Suta Goswami. And to further encourage Srila Suta Goswami, our Shaunak Rishi, he started asking more questions. He asked about the history of Srimad-Bhagavatam, which we discussed last time. How was this Srimad-Bhagavatam spoken? He glorified Srila Shukadev Goswami, who is the Guru Maharaj of Srila Suta Goswami. So he glorified Srila Shukadev Goswami. He's such a Paramhamsa. When he came to Hastinapur, how was he received? How did he meet Maharaj Pariksha? So all these questions were asked. And while glorifying Srila Shukadev Goswami in the 8th verse, Sri Shaunak Rishi says that Shukadev Goswami was so renounced. He would, for the welfare of the Grihamedis, for the welfare of the attached householders, he would go to their house and beg some milk. But he would only wait there until the cow was milked. He was not based there for more than half an hour. And he would speak Krishna Katha. He would sanctify those places, those residences wherever he went. And this was the greatness of Srila Shukdev Goswami. After glorifying Srila Shukadev Goswami, so there are 3 things that are going to happen, my dear friends. Please pay attention. As Sri Shaunak Rishi is speaking to Srila Suta Goswami, he is going to ask 3 questions. And the answer to these 3 questions will constitute the entire rest of the first canto of Srimad-Bhagavatam. So just to give a context, on the in the forest of Naimisharanya, Shaunak Rishi, and there are thousands, some people say there are 88,000 sages. They are all sitting and they are doing yajna at the beginning of Kali Yuga. And then Srila Suta Goswami comes and they honor him, they respect him because he is most experienced, most learned, most qualified disciple of Srila Shukadev Goswami. And they ask him 6 questions. Those 6 questions, all of you know. And the answer to those 6 questions was given in the 2nd and 3rd chapter. The questions were asked in the 1st chapter. Answers were given in the 2nd and 3rd chapter. Towards the end of the 3rd chapter, Srila Suta Goswami says that Dharma and Gyan, they took shelter of Śrīmad-Bhagavatam in Kali Yuga after Krishna has entered the Aprakat Lila. And I can speak it to all of you. Then in the 4th chapter, Shaunak Rishi is encouraging Srila Suta Goswami and asking him 3 questions. One is, he's asking about the history of Srimad-Bhagavatam. Please tell us how it was spoken. How did Shukdev Goswami, who used to live in the forest, come to Hastinapur, where Maharaj Pariksha was? How was he received there? How did he meet Maharaj Pariksha? So all these questions is the first question, the history of Srimad-Bhagavatam. Number 2, Shaunak Rishi is asking Srila Suta Goswami that this Shukdev Goswami was such a great soul. He was so renounced, so learned, such a great personality. So he glorified Srila Suta Goswami's Guru Maharaj. He would always just travel through forests, apparently like a madman, or apparently dumb, unmatta, mukha, and jada. These 3 adjectives are used in verse number 6. People thought that he was mute, dumb, less intelligent, but actually he is a Mahabhagavat, this Shukdev Goswami. He was so advanced that he did not even make distinction between women and men. And then Shaunak Rishi gives example of when Shukdev Goswami left home, those girls, young beautiful girls, were bathing and he made no distinction. He just kept walking past them. And the girls also understood that he's so exalted. So the second thing is, they glorified Srila Shukdev Goswami and they asked, how was he received when he came to Hastinapur? What happened? How did he meet Parikshit Maharaj? What were the circumstances under which he met Parikshit Maharaj? And the third question is, they are going to the third point is, they are going to glorify Maharaj Parikshit and inquire, how did Maharaj Parikshit get the curse that he had to give up his kingdom and everything? So there are three questions. So two questions have already been posed. One is the history of Srimad-Bhagavatam. Second is the glorious Shukdev Goswami. How did he meet Maharaj Parikshit? Now from verse number 9, Maharaj Parikshit will be glorified. So we'll read from verse number 9. Verse 9. Abhimanyu sutam suta prahur bhagavatottamam tasya janma mahascharya karmani cha grihinaha. So here, all of you have Srimad-Bhagavatam, so I'm not going to, there's no need to share the screen. All of you have your Bhagavatams, because I would like you to have it open so you can mark, you can underline the important parts. So in verse number 9, Shri Shaunaka Rishi is telling Srila Suta Goswami, it is said that Maharaj Parikshit is a great first-class devotee. What is the Sanskrit used for first-class devotee of Krishna? Bhagavata Uttamam. Bhagavata Uttama. He was a first-class devotee. It means he was an Uttam Adhikari. Maharaj Parikshit was an Uttam Adhikari. There are three types of devotees: Kanishta Adhikari, Madhyam Adhikari, and Uttam Adhikari. And Maharaj Parikshit was Uttam Adhikari. There are 9 stages of bhakti. Please pay attention. There are 9 stages of bhakti. Can someone tell what are the 9 stages of bhakti? Raise your hand, please, if you know the 9 stages of bhakti. Yes, Archana Bhakti Mataji.
Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, Nishtha, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhava, Prema.
Very good. So there are the 9 stages of bhakti, from Ādav Shraddha to Krishna Prema. And how many types of devotees are there? 3 types of devotees: Kanishta, Madhyam, and Uttam. Now listen carefully. If we observe, there are many levels of Kanishta Adhikari. There are many levels of Madhyam Adhikari, and there are many levels of Uttam Adhikari also. And this maps with the 9 stages of bhakti. So there are 3 types of Kanishta Adhikaris. Not all Kanishta Adhikaris are on the same level, isn't it? Who is Kanishta Adhikari? Kanishta Adhikari is one who has faith in the deity of Krishna, but does not have so much faith in Vaishnava Seva, does not have so much faith in the Vaishnavas. But he has faith in Krishna. Because of that Shraddha, because of that faith, he is called Adhikari. Adhikari means one who has some qualification, some adhikar to perform bhakti. So Kanishta Adhikari also are great because they have some bhakti adhikar. But their faith in Vaishnava Seva is not developed. And if we see Srimad-Bhagavatam, we see Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's all about Vaishnava Seva, Sadhu Sangha. Vina Mahatpada Rajobhishekam. In Srimad-Bhagavatam it is said, unless we bathe with the dust of the lotus feet of a devotee, we cannot get Krishna. So this, the Kanishta Adhikari does not understand. But he has faith. He will go to Tirupati, he will bow down. Oh, Lord Balaji, Lord Balaji. That faith is there. But he will not drink the water that has washed the lotus feet of a Vaishnava. What is that? Sentimentalism, dirty water. Why you are drinking it? They will not understand. When they see devotees taking dust from each other's feet, they will think, oh, this is dirty. When they see devotees stealing from each other's plate, eating jhuta, they will say, oh my God, what is this low-class behavior? I have seen new devotees, they are so bewildered. What is this? Why are you eating ushta? Why are you eating jhuta? They find it very dirty, low-class. Kanishta Adhikari. They have not developed faith in the greatness of Vaishnava. But all Kanishtas are not same. Kanishta Adhikaris are also different level. There are 3 types of Kanishta Adhikari. Mapping to Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, and Bhajana Kriya. So there is Kanishta, there is Madhyam Kanishta, and there is Uttam Kanishta. So there is a Uttam amongst Kanishtas, there is a Madhyam among Kanishtas, and there is a Kanishta. One who has just some Shraddha is Kanishta. One who has got Sadhu Sangha is a Madhyam Kanishta. And one who has begun Bhajana Kriya nicely is a Uttam Kanishta. Madhyam Adhikaris are also three types. There is Kanishta Madhyam, there is Madhyam Madhyam, and there is Uttam Madhyam. And that maps to Anartha Nivritti, Nishtha, and Ruchi. So Madhyam Adhikari is Kanishta Madhyam when he's still struggling with Anartha Nivritti. Still there is influence of lust, still there is influence of anger, there is influence of greed, there is influence of pride, there is still some envy. The Anartha Nivritti is going on. So that is a Kanishta Madhyam Adhikari. He is doing Bhajana Kriya. He has got Sadhu Sangha. He has got faith also. And that is progressively getting more and more mature. But he's still struggling with Anartha Nivritti. Still has fall downs every now and then. That is a Kanishta Madhyam. Madhyam Madhyam is a very well situated Adhikari, Madhyam Adhikari. And he is on the platform of Nishtha. Now he doesn't break the regulative principles. Now he doesn't behave in a greedy way. He is not envious. And he has very firm faith in the process of Krishna consciousness. There is nothing else in their life other than Krishna consciousness. That is called a Madhyam Madhyam. And then when the faith becomes strong, then there is a transcendental taste that develops. Then all the time one wants to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Kirtaniya Sadahari. That happens. Macchitta Madgata Prana, Bodhayanta Parasparam, Kathayantasya Mam Nityam, Tushyanti Cha Ramadya. There is no other happiness other than devotee association, other than Krishna Katha. That is a Uttam Madhyam. Now there is taste, there is Ruchi. Not just Nishtha, not just Anartha Nivritti, but there is taste now. So Ruchi is Uttam Madhyam Adhikari. Srila Prabhupada said that Madhyam Madhyam and Uttam Madhyam can become a guru. In Nectar of Instruction in the purport, I think it is purport to verse number 5 or 6. Srila Prabhupada says that a Madhyam Adhikari, a good Madhyam Adhikari, can also become a guru. And then there is the Uttam Adhikari. Now Uttam Adhikari are also of three types. There is Kanishta Uttam, one who has just entered the stage of Uttam. And all this is described by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in Vaibhava. So there is Kanishta Uttam, there is Madhyam Uttam, and there is Uttam Uttam. Uttam Uttam is a Mahabhagavat, who, like a Chintamani, like Srila Prabhupada, when Srila Prabhupada came to America, he was the only devotee in the whole continent. Think about that. We are scared to go to a city where for 1 week where there are no devotees. We say, there is no devotee, there is no temple. What will I eat? Who will I associate? How will I maintain my Krishna consciousness? Imagine Srila Prabhupada is coming. There is not one devotee in the whole continent. This continent has never seen a devotee. Never. Srila Prabhupada comes here. He goes, even in America, it's not like Prabhupada was staying in a very high class society. He went to the Bowery, where the lowest of the low class people were eating. They were breaking the 4 regulative principles on the sidewalks of the streets. And Srila Prabhupada goes there and makes them into sannyasis. Think about that. Makes them not just into Vaishnavas, makes them into sannyasis. Makes them into pujaris. Makes them into gurus. Chintamani. He touches and he makes them also into Chintamani jewels. So that is Srila Prabhupada. Uttam Uttam Adhikari. So that maps to Asakti, Bhav, and Krishna Prem. So here, Parikshit Maharaj is said to be Bhagavatottama. He is a Uttam Adhikari. That's what is being said. So that's why I wanted to bring that up. He was a first class devotee, Maharaj Parikshit. So now Maharaj Parikshit is being glorified here. And what is Shaunak Rishi telling Srila Suta Goswami? That Janma Maha Ascharyam. His birth was very wonderful. And his activities, Karmani, also very wonderful. Therefore, Grinihi, please speak to us about the glories of Maharaj Parikshit. Third question. That please tell us about the glories of Maharaj Parikshit. There is something very beautiful that Srila Prabhupada explains about Maharaj Parikshit. So, I'm going to ask all of you some questions now. Raise your hand. Number 1. Who was the devotee who made Lord Narasimhadev appear in this world? Yes, Amrit Karan Prabhuji.
Prahlad Maharaj.
Prahlad Maharaj. Okay. Now, who was the devotee, Shama Vallavi Mataji, who was the devotee who made Lord Vamanadev appear in this world?
Indra.
Lord Indra.
See, Krishna could have killed Bali Maharaj, but Bali Maharaj was a devotee. Therefore, Krishna himself came for Bali Maharaj to give him love, to become his Dwarpal, to place his lotus foot on his head. So, who was that devotee for whose sake the Supreme Lord came for as Vamanadev? It was Bali Maharaj.
Deva's mother prayed.
So it was the devotion of Bali Maharaj that made Vamanadev appear. Otherwise, Krishna could have sent anybody to kill a demon. No problem for Krishna. He could have empowered anyone to kill. But Krishna himself came for Bali Maharaj, did not kill him, but gave him his love. Because Bali Maharaj was a great devotee. So Bali Maharaj made Vamanadev come. Who was the devotee? Kaivalya Prabhuji, please enlighten all of us. Who was the devotee who made Lord Hari come on the back of Garudji when one devotee was praying, about to drown in the lake? Crocodile had caught him.
Gajendra.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So Gajendra made Lord Hari appear. You see, all these devotees are making the Lord appear. Who is the devotee who made Lord Krishna appear in this world and Lord Balram appear in this world? Sorry, I forgot. Sandeep Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yeah, Prabhuji, I feel it is Yashoda Mai, Nanda Baba, Vasudev, Devaki.
Correct. That's a good understanding. Yes. They were being troubled by demons like Kansa. So for their sake, the Supreme Lord appeared. So the point is, my dear friends, there are various devotees who are making Krishna appear in different forms. Correct? One devotee is making one Lord appear. But Srila Prabhupada and our Acharyas explain something so beautiful. They say, Maharaj Pariksha is that one devotee who made all these incarnations appear through Srimad-Bhagavatam. Because in Srimad-Bhagavatam, all these devotees are described. And for whose sake was Srimad-Bhagavatam spoken? For the sake of Maharaj Pariksha. So Maharaj Pariksha single-handedly made all these incarnations appear in the pages of Srimad-Bhagavatam for all of us. So great is Maharaj Pariksha. So these Shaunaka Ādi Rishis are saying that therefore his activities are wonderful, his birth is wonderful. I mean, who can claim to have had darshan of Krishna in the womb of the mother, even before being born? After he was born, he was always looking, where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? Therefore, he's called Parikshit. Parikshit, he was looking everywhere, searching everywhere for Krishna. Krishna Darshana Lalasa. So that Parikshit Maharaj is very glorious. Verse number 10. Sa samrat kasya vaheto panduna manavardhanaha prayopavishto gangayam anadritya dhirat shriyam. Maharaj Pariksha was a great emperor and he possessed all the opulences of his acquired kingdom. He was so exalted that he was increasing the prestige of the Pandu dynasty. The Pandus are always so glorious, but he was increasing their glory. Why did Maharaj Pariksha give up everything to sit down on the bank of Ganga and fast until death? So see, Praya Upavishtaha, sitting and fasting Gangayam. Why did he do that? When he was so rich. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that Maharaj Pariksha was the emperor of the whole world, all the continents, all the seas, all the islands. So much nowadays, if some big businessman, billionaire acquires one island for his personal sense gratification, it becomes news. If someone acquires some company, it becomes a big news. And somebody is buying Twitter, it becomes big news. Imagine Maharaj Pariksha was the owner of everything, the whole planet, all the continents, all the countries, all the forests, all the oceans, everything. And he gave everything up. Gave up his clothes, gave up his kingdom, his family members, his money, his jewels, his servants, food, drinking, everything he gave up and sat on the banks of Ganga. Why? Shaunaka Ādi Rishis, they want to know. They're asking Srila Suta Goswami, why did Parikshit Maharaj sit, give up everything? It's astonishing. If someone doesn't have anything and he sits, then it's okay. But if someone has everything at their disposal and they give it up. What is the reason? It arouses curiosity in everyone. Verse number 11. In the interest of time, we will not read the Sanskrit. But this meter is very nice. I think it is, let me see. I think it is Vasanta Tilak. Namanti yatpadanike tamatmanaha. No, it's not Vasanta Tilak. Namanti yatpadanike tamatmanaha shivaya hani adhanani chatravaha katham savira shriyamanga dushyajam yuveshatotrish tumaho saha subhi. Does anyone know what meter this is? Bhav Kare Prabhu or Shamchandra Prabhu, anybody knows? If you know, just raise your hand later on. Okay. So what is being said in verse number 11? Shaunakadi Rishis are saying, again, they are continuing the glorification of Maharaj Perish. Maharaj Perish was such a great emperor that all his enemies would come and bow down at his feet and surrender all their wealth for their own benefit. Just see. In this world, there is always competition. Somebody may be president of a country, but there is always threat. Somebody may be prime minister of a country, always threat. Oh, that when the term is over, then somebody else will win the elections and come. Oh, this is going on in every country, isn't it? But Maharaj Parikshit had no such insecurity. He was the king as long as he desired, all his life. No one was going to overthrow him. There was no competition. He was the only heir to the kingdom from the Pandavas. So he owned everything and he was so powerful. Physically, he was so powerful and his army was so powerful that all the enemies would come and bow down and surrender. Maharaj Parikshit was full of youth and strength and he possessed kingly opulences that were difficult to give up. Why did Maharaj Parikshit want to give up everything, including his life? What happened? What happened? Maharaj Parikshit had everything desirable, Srila Prabhupada says. He was quite a young man. He could enjoy life with power and opulence. There was no question of retiring from active life. There was no difficulty in collecting taxes. He was powerful, chivalrous. His enemies had surrendered to him. He was a pious king. He had good karma. He had conquered all his enemies. His kingdom was prosperous. There was no scarcity of milk, grains, metals, rivers, mountains. Everything was full. So there was no question of untimely giving up kingdom and life. The sages were eager to hear about all this. Srila Prabhupada writes, verse number 12. Shivaya lokasya bhavaya bhutaye ya uttama shloka parayana janaha jivanti natma arthamasau parashrayam mumocha nirvedya kuta kalevaram. So what is being said here? Those who are devoted to the cause of Bhagwan, personality of Godhead, they live only for the welfare and development and happiness of others. My dear friends, this is a very important siddhanta here that is being spoken. Very important. What is the criteria of a great soul? How do we know that a person is truly great? Srimad-Bhagavatam is explaining to us. Shivasya lokasya bhavaya bhutaye ya uttama shloka parayana jana jivanti natmartham asau parashrayam mumocha nirvidya kuta kalevaram. That the criteria is one lives for not self-interest, but for the welfare of others. Jana jivanti, for others, and becomes shelter for others. Para ashrayam. Para ashrayam. That is the qualification of a great soul. That one doesn't live for sense gratification. One doesn't live because one wants to become the richest man of India and have a skyscraper in the middle of Mumbai. And then the wife is singing on television, Mera Pati Parmeshwar hai. So this is not the standard of success, my dear friends. People in this world, they earn money for sense gratification. I want to own vacation homes. I want to own a yacht. I want to go on cruise. I want to have a multi-million-dollar home. This is considered to be success of life. So we earn money and enjoy with the senses with that money. This is materialistic propaganda. But Srimad-Bhagavatam does not support such a viewpoint. The true measure of a person's success in life is how much paropkar a person has done. Janma sarthak kari kara para upakar. Paropkar is very important. Very important. So Shaunak Rishi is saying that those who are devotees of Krishna, those who are Uttama Shloka Parayana, those who are dedicated to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, who is glorified with beautiful verses, Uttama Shloka, they don't live with any self-interest. They live for the sake of others. Others. They live for the others, welfare, development, happiness of others. Sarve sukhano bhavantu. Even though Maharaj Perish was free from all attachments to worldly possessions, how could he give up his mortal body, which was the shelter for others? This is the question, my dear friends. So what is bewildering is, why did Maharaj Perish give up his body? Because his body was being used in the service of Krishna. When Srila Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj was diagnosed with melanoma cancer on the sole of one of his lotus foot, Srila Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj tried to treat it. He underwent surgery, amputation. He tried even Ayurveda, homeopathy. He went to Arizona. He went to Mexico to try naturopathy. Everything he tried because the disciples wanted. Srila Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj tried everything. But when everything failed, he accepted it. Why he wanted to preserve his body? Why he wanted to fight melanoma cancer? Because every year Srila Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj was traveling to 35 countries and preaching. He was the shelter. He was a spiritual inspiration for thousands of devotees all over the world. He had so many hundreds and hundreds of initiated disciples. He had thousands and thousands of well-wishers and followers and devotees who looked up to him as their Shiksha Guru, as their spiritual inspiration, spiritual mentor. He was the Shiksha Guru and the spiritual mentor for many world leaders like the boxer Muhammad Ali, like Nelson Mandela. He was a consultant to the United Nations. He was doing so much good in this world. Therefore, when he was struck with melanoma cancer, he tried to get better from that illness. But when Krishna showed that he had other plans, Srila Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj, he bowed down before the desire of Krishna. Mare Krishna rakhe Krishna mare ke. Maro bhi rakho bhi jo ichha tohara nitya dasa prati tua adhikara. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes, Maro bhi rakho bhi jo ichha tohara nitya dasa prati tua adhikara. I am eternally your servant Krishna. You can kill me or you can let me live. Tua adhikar. You are my adhikari. You are my owner. You are my proprietor. You have full right over me. You can do whatever you want. Srila Prabhupada also prayed like that. Ani yacho jadi prabhu amare nachate nachao prabhu nachao se mate. On the Jaladuta Srila Prabhupada. Ani yacho jadi prabhu amare nachate. Now that you have brought me here to the Western world, now make me dance. Make me dance how? Nachao Prabhu, nachao se mate. The way you want. Not how I want. The way you want. Kashtera putaliyata, nachao se mate. Nachao Prabhu, nachao se mate. Kashtera putali, like a wooden puppet. Kashtha means wood. Kashtera putaliyata, nachao se mate. Nachao Prabhu, nachao se mate. These are the immortal words of our Srila Prabhupada on the Jaladuta. This is the sign of a pure devotee. I don't have any plans. Krishna, whatever you want. So Maharaj Parikshit's death was bewildering because his body was the shelter for everyone. He was doing so much service through his body. Why should a king give up such a body, such a position? If the body is useless, not able to do any seva, then no problem. No problem in giving it up. Anyway, it is useless. But a body that is doing so much service, he was the only king. To die, it was bewildering. So sadhus wanted to know. Verse number 13. Tat sarvam na sama chakshva prishto yad iha kinchana manye tvam vishaye vacham snatam anyatra chandasat. So after glorifying Maharaj Parikshit in verse number 13, what happens? Now again, Shaunak Rishi is going to focus his attention on the speaker, that is Shri Suta Goswami. Shaunak Rishi is saying to Srila Suta Goswami, my dear Srila Suta Goswami, we know that you are expert in the meaning of all subjects except some portions of the Vedas. Except some portion of the Vedas. And thus, you can clearly explain the answers to all the questions we have just put to you. So 3 questions. One is history of Srimad-Bhagavatam, the glorious Shukdev Goswami, how did he meet Maharaj Pariksha? And the glorious Parikshit Maharaj, why did he give up his kingdom and his life? Answer to these 3 questions will constitute the rest of the first canto. So Shaunak Rishi is now glorifying again Suta Goswami. Oh, my dear Suta Goswami, you are very learned in the meaning of all subjects except some portions. So Srila Prabhupada in the purport explains what is this except some portions of the Vedas. So all portions of the Vedas do not deal with bhakti. And a Shuddha Bhakta, he focuses his attention, his or her attention on Bhakti Shastras. Not all Shastras are Bhakti Shastras. In the Shastras, there is Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha also described. There is Karma Kand, there is Dhyana Kand, there is Jnana Kand. All these things are mentioned. There is Ashtanga Yoga that is mentioned. And there is Ayurveda that is mentioned. There is astrology, Jyotish Shastra is mentioned. So there are many subjects described in the Vedic library. Not everything has to do with Uttama Bhakti, Shuddha Bhakti, pure devotional service. But a pure devotee narrows down the focus to what is essence. What is the essence? What is Bhakti? Therefore, Srila Prabhupada says that there are some parts in the Vedas, like the different chandas, Vedic mantras that have to be pronounced in a proper, chanted in a proper meter. It is possible that Sri Suta Goswami was not very expert in those things. But as far as the Bhakti Shastras were concerned, as far as Bhakti Siddhanta was concerned, Srila Suta Goswami was a perfect Acharya. Therefore, they are saying, you can clearly explain the answers to all the questions that we put to you, because the questions of Shaunak Adi Rishis are pertaining to Bhakti. Therefore, Suta Goswami can answer. Now, if someone wants to know about Ayurveda, or someone wants to know about different asanas to improve health, then you go to hot yoga or still hot yoga, all those yoga studios, or some yoga. I'm not downplaying the importance of yogasana. It has its place, yes. As far as pure devotional service is concerned, we have Srimad-Bhagavatam, and we have Vedic scriptures like Valmiki Ramayana, we have Padma Puran, Vishnu Puran. These are all top class pure Bhakti Shastras. And in all these scriptures, our Suta Goswami is perfectly learned. Then from verse number 14, after being encouraged by Shaunak Rishi in this way, our Suta Goswami is going to begin speaking. So verse number 14, Suta Uvacha, Dvapare Samanu Prapte Tritiye Yuga Paryaye Jataha Parasharad Yogi Vasavyam Kalaya Hare. Shri Suta Goswami said, when the second millennium overlapped the third, the great sage Srila Vyasadeva was born to Shri Parashara Muni in the womb of Mother Satyavati, who was the daughter of Vasu. Vasu was a fisherman. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes that there are 4 millenniums. So here millennium means the Yuga. There are 4 Yugas, Satya, then the second is Dwapara, third is Treta, and fourth is Kali. Srila Prabhupada writes. This is the chronological order. But sometimes there is overlapping, where the Treta comes before Dwapara. And that happened during the regimen of the current Manu. Who is the current Manu? Vaivasvat Manu. And specifically during the 28th round. There are 71 Mahayugas in the life of one Manu. And there are 14 Manus in one day of Brahma. So there are 1000 Mahayugas. One Mahayuga is one complete cycle of Satya, Dwapar, Treta, and Kali. One cycle is called one Mahayuga. There are 1000 Mahayugas in one day of Brahma. and the night is also equally long. So 14 manus, each manu 71 Mahayugas. So 71 multiplied by 14 comes to 1000. So in the 7th manu, Brahmaji is 50 years old now. In this particular day, the 7th manu is Vaivasvat manu. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it is 7th only. The 7th manu is Vaivasvat manu, and in the regime of Vaivasvat manu, with the 7th manu, in the 28th Mahayuga cycle, there is overlapping between the 2nd and the 3rd millennium. So instead of Satya, Dwapar, Treta, Kali Yuga, it is Satya, Treta, Dwapar, Kali. And this is the overlapping of the millennium where Lord Krishna chooses to appear in the 28th Mahayuga cycle of the 7th Manu in the life of Brahma, when Brahmaji is 50 years old. So in this particular age, it is described that in the third, each of this yuga, so there are 4 yugas, right? 4 millenniums: Satya, Dwapar, Treta, and Kali. Each yuga is divided into 3 parts, 3 sandhyas. There is a beginning sandhya, there is a middle sandhya, and there is a end part. And it is said that in the third part, the third sandhya of this, Srila Vyasadeva appeared. Third sandhya of the Dwapar Yuga, Lord Vyasadeva appeared. If this was not clear, you can ask later on. Verse 15. Sa kadachit sarasvatya upasprishya jalam shuchihi vivikta eka asina udite ravi mandale. Now, Srila Suta Goswami is speaking. Once upon a time, Srila Vyasadeva, so he spoke about the appearance of Vyasadeva that happened during the Dwapar Yuga in the 28th Mahayuga cycle of the 7th Manu, and that also within that Dwapar Yuga there are 3 phases: early, middle, and late. It happened in the third sandhya, third part of that yuga, means towards the end of Dwapar Yuga, Srila Vyasadeva appeared. So once upon a time, Srila Vyasadeva, as the sun rose, Srila Vyasadeva took his morning ablution in the waters of the Saraswati river and sat alone to concentrate. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes that the river Saraswati is flowing in the Badrikashram area of the Himalayas. And this place indicated here is Shamya Prasa in Badrikashram, where Srila Vyasadeva is residing. Even now, Srila Vyasadeva resides there. Verse 16. Again, in the interest of time, we will not read the Sanskrit. Translation. The great sage Srila Vyasadeva saw anomalies in the duties of the millennium. Yuga Dharma. Duties of the millennium is Yuga Dharma. This happens on the earth in different ages due to the unseen force of time, by the influence of time. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes that great sages like Srila Vyasadeva, they are liberated souls. They are gunatit, they are beyond the modes of material nature, and therefore they can clearly see the past, present, and future. And Srila Prabhupada explains that the anomalies in the Yuga Dharma that he saw, that Srila Vyasadeva saw, Vyatikaram is the Sanskrit word used in the verse. Yuga Dharma, Vyatikaram. He saw problems, anomalies in the performance of Yuga Dharma. And which Yuga is he seeing? Srila Prabhupada explains he was seeing into the future, the next age that was going to come, Kali Yuga. He could see the problems in Kali Yuga. And accordingly, he made arrangement for people in general so that they could execute a progressive life in this dark age. Kali Yuga is an age of darkness. People are interested in matter. People are interested in that which is asat in Kali Yuga. That is the nature of Kali Yuga. People are interested in material things. They are not interested in spiritual things. So if there is a Sunday feast going on in Atlanta, there are 15 to 20 devotees at the beginning of the class. At the end of the class, there are around 30 to 40 devotees. Then during the mini arti, there are around 40 to 50 devotees. And during prasad, there are close to 100 devotees. Hare Krishna. Every Sunday, almost, I notice. So it is like that. And then Tulsi Arti at 3:45, 5-6 devotees. Gaur Arti, around 15 devotees. Like that. So then there is a class. So anyway, in Kali Yuga, people are more interested in sense gratification. That is a problem. But at least there are 100 devotees to eat Krishna Prasad in the temple. But when there is a Braves game in the Brave Stadium, the tourist park, there are, I don't know how many, I have never been there, but I have heard there are thousands of people. In the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, where they play American football, during the Super Bowl and all those NFL, NBA games, there are thousands of people. And it is not a free satsang. You come and you hear Krishna Katha. They pay money. They buy seasons pass because they want to keep watching all these games throughout the season. People pay money to watch some other people kick a ball around or catch a ball around or throw a ball through a ring or hit a ball with a bat. They pay their hard-earned dollars for that. And thousands of people. And for Hari Katha, for Krishna Katha, for Satsang, hardly anybody comes. Only 100 devotees. And then we feel, oh, temple is full. There are 100 devotees. This is Kali Yuga, my dear friends. People are more interested in material things. Practically, we can see verses 17 and 18. So, Srila Sutta Goswami is saying, the great sage Srila Vyasadeva, who was fully equipped in knowledge, could see through his transcendental vision the deterioration of everything material due to the influence of the age. He could also see that the faithless people in general would be reduced in duration of life and would be impatient due to lack of goodness. Thus, he contemplated for the welfare of men in all statuses and orders of life, all varnas and all ashrams. How can they be benefited? Srila Vyasadeva is contemplating. Very important. Think about it, my dear friend. Srila Vyasadeva is sitting alone in a holy place in Badrika Ashram on the bank of river Saraswati. He took his Saraswati Snan. He took his bath in Saraswati. He chanted his Gayatri mantra. And he's sitting in meditation in a silent place. And what is he thinking? Not about himself. Just see. Paropkar. Srila Vyasadeva is thinking about all of us. Srila Vyasadeva, being Trikalagya, being the knower of the past, present, and future, he is looking at Kali Yuga. Acharyas explain that Srila Vyasadeva could actually see, please listen carefully, Srila Vyasadeva could actually see the invasions of India. That Mughals will come, they will invade. The Britishers will come, they will invade India. There will be China war, there will be Pakistan war, there will be First World War, Second World War, there will be Vietnam war, there will be Korean war, there will be Afghan war, there will be Iraq war, Kuwait war, there will be so many wars, Israel-Palestine war, there will be Ukraine-Russia war. I am actually repeating the words of our acharyas. I've heard it from our Guru Varga. They say that Srila Vyasadeva was able to actually see all this. So Srimad-Bhagavatam is saying he could see the future, the anomalies of Kali Yuga. But our acharyas, in the line of Srila Sutta Goswami, understanding, they are giving more elaborate explanation that actually the problems that we are experiencing, civil wars, this, that, everything Srila Vyasadeva knows because he's Trikalagya. He knows past, present, and future. Even Sri Advaita Acharya in Shantipur, when he was crying and praying for Mahaprabhu to appear in this world and worshipping his Shaligram Shila. Worshipping his Shaligram Shila with Ganga Jal and Tulsi leaves, praying for the Supreme Lord to appear. Sri Advaita Acharya also could see all these problems that will come in the future. All the problems that we are experiencing, all the devotees who are on the Zoom call right now, all the problems you have in your life, all the problems your loved ones have in their life, everything was known to Sri Advaita Acharya and to Srila Vyasadeva. And they were feeling our pain. And therefore, they are contemplating what is the best we can do for these people of Kali Yuga. How can we benefit them? And therefore, Srila Vyasadeva gave us Srimad-Bhagavatam, and Sri Advaita Acharya somehow brought Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to us so that we will get Harinam Sankirtan. Golokera Premadhana, Harinama Sankirtana. And Sarva Vedanta Sarami, Sri Bhagavatam Isha. So he's meditating on how to do welfare of all people. This is the greatness of Srila Vyasadeva. Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport that the great sage Srila Vyasadeva could see everything. That the people in Kali Yuga, they will have short memory, they will be less intelligent, their life duration will be less, they will be full of hypocrisy, the fruits and vegetable productions will be less, the cows will not give enough milk, the land will not produce enough grains. All these problems Srila Vyasadeva could see. And therefore he was really worried about all of us and praying. Then what did he do? Srila Vyasadeva, verse number 19. Srila Vyasadeva saw that the sacrifices mentioned in the Vedas were means by which the people's occupations could be purified. And to simplify the process, he divided the one Veda into 4 in order to expand them among men. So Srila Suta Goswami is explaining that Srila Vedavyas, originally the Veda is one. There is one Veda that appears from the breathing of Lord Narayan. And this one Veda, for our proper understanding, Srila Vyasadeva, he divided into 4 Vedas. Srila Prabhupada ji writes in the purport that the name of the original Veda, one Veda, is Yajurveda. But then, based on the different types of sacrifices that are described, the different topics that are described, the different focus of different aspects of the Vedas, Srila Vyasadeva nicely categorized it and divided into 4 divisions of sacrifices. And these are the 4 Vedas: Rigveda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, and Atharvaveda. And then also Srila Vyasadeva divided and compiled the Samhitas, the Puranas, and the Mahabharats. And together these Puranas, Mahabharata, which is the Itihas, and the Samhitas, together they are called the 5th Veda. There are 5 Vedas like that. Then this all was done for our benefit. And Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport that in the Chandogya Upanishad 7.1.4, the Puranas and Mahabharata, generally known as Itihasas, histories, are mentioned as the 5th Veda. So it's not like Srila Prabhupada is sentimentally calling them the 5th Veda. It is mentioned in the Chandogya Upanishad. In the Shruti Shastra, it is mentioned that these are the 5th Veda. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, that is the way of ascertaining the respective values of the revealed scriptures. So verse number 20. Rig Yaju Samatharvakya Vedas Chatvara Udhritaha Itihasa Puranam Cha Panchamo Veda Uchate. See, this is the proof in Srimad-Bhagavatam. So it is what is there in Chandogya Upanishad is being confirmed here. The 4 divisions of the original sources of knowledge, source of knowledge is called Vedas. They were made separately. 4 divisions were made separately: Rig Ved, Yajurved, Samaved, Atharvaved. But the historical facts and authentic stories like the Puranas and the Mahabharata mentioned in the Puranas are called the 5th Veda. 5th Veda. Verse number 21. Srila Vyasadeva is doing all this for us, for our better understanding. How when for exam we make notes, the essence, we tabulate, we make lists, we enumerate for easy understanding. Because something may be very vast and then we make points out of it. Like how we read the first chapter of the first canto of Srimad-Bhagavatam. And there are 6 questions there. Now, the sages headed by Shaunak Rishi are not asking Srila Suta Goswami, all right, Suta Goswami ji, we are going to ask you 6 questions. Our first question is this, our second question is this, our third question is this. They don't say like that. They just, it was a conversation. But our acharyas, Srila Prabhupada in the purport, he says that there are 6 questions. And then, all the devotees, they have compiled them. These are the 6 questions. So this is called, compiling and categorizing for easy grasp, easy understanding, because we are less intelligent. Previously, there were no books. Until Srila Vyasadeva wrote down the Vedas, there were no books. Everything was simply heard and remembered. Shruti and Smriti. But in Kali Yuga, we don't have the patience to do Shruti. And now it's getting restless. Oh, 1 hour is over. How much Prabhuji is going to speak? Or in India, I have to get 2 hours. Too much. It's boring us. So there is no patience to hear, and there is no memory to retain it. Therefore, we need to constantly hear. Therefore, we need ISKCON Desire-Tree. We have to constantly hear. Again and again, we have to hear. And we need all these printed Srimad-Bhagavatam, printed Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, printed Srimad-Bhagavad Gita, printed notes. Why? Because we cannot remember. Memory is very weak in Kali Yuga. So for us, Srila Vyasadeva is doing all this. After dividing the Vedas into 4 divisions, Paila Rishi became the professor of Rigveda, Jaimini the professor of Samaveda, And Vaishampayan alone became glorified by the Yajurveda. So Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport that Srila Vyasadeva entrusted different Vedas to different scholars. The Sumantu Muni Angira, who was very devotedly engaged, was entrusted with the Atharva Veda. So in this way, all the 4 Vedas were given to 4 different rishis. And my father, Romaharshana, Srila Suta Goswami saying, my father, Romaharshana, was entrusted with the Puranas and historical records. The 5th Veda was given to Romaharshana, the father of Srila Suta Goswami. Verse number 23. All these learned scholars in their turn rendered their entrusted Vedas unto their many disciples, grand disciples, and great grand disciples. And thus the respective branches of the followers of the Vedas came into being. So like that, the Vedas were propagated to the disciples, grand disciples. The parampara started basically from these 4 rishis. Srila Vyasadeva is the original, 24 verse number. Thus the great sage Srila Vyasadeva, who is very kind to the ignorant masses, edited the Vedas so they might be assimilated by less intellectual men. He also edited the Vedas so that they could be assimilated properly. Edited means he categorized them nicely. Srila Prabhupada writes, the Veda is one, and the reasons for its division in many parts are explained herewith, for the benefit of the ignorant. And Srila Prabhupada says in Satyug, people were in the mode of goodness. Gradually, the mode of goodness declined during Treta and Dwapar Yugas, and people became more and more corrupt. In the present age of Kali Yuga, the mode of goodness is almost nil. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada, mode of goodness is almost nil. And so, for the general mass of people, the kind-hearted, powerful sage Srila Vyasadeva divided the Vedas in various ways so that they may be practically followed by less intelligent persons in the modes of passion and ignorance. This will be explained in the next shloka, Srila Prabhupada says. That is the purpose of compiling the Vedas and categorizing them and dividing them, editing them. Not that Srila Vyasadeva changed the Vedas. No. He categorized them, arranged them nicely so that people could understand. Next verse. Out of compassion, the great sage Srila Vyasadeva thought it wise that this would enable men to achieve the ultimate goal of life. Thus, he compiled the great historical narration called the Mahabharata for women, laborers, and friends of the twice born. So, we can read this purport. In the interest of time, I will not be able to read the whole purport. But very important principle Srila Prabhupada is saying that for the less intelligent class of human beings, they may not have the patience or the necessary knowledge to study the Vedas. And anyway, to study the Vedas, one had to be initiated. One has to be a Dvija to begin the Vedas. We already read that in the previous class. So Mahabharata was prepared. Mahabharata is for everyone. And very intelligently, Srila Vyasadeva, they put Bhagavad Gita in Mahabharata. And Bhagavad Gita is Gitopanishad. It is the essence of all the Vedas, the Bhagavad Gita. So even if someone reads the Mahabharata at the most critical juncture of Mahabharata, just before the war, I remember as a child growing up, when on television every Sunday, the Mahabharata serial used to come. We used to watch it every Sunday, religiously. And when all the warriors had assembled on the battlefield of Kurukshetra and the Kurukshetra battle was about to begin, Krishna starts speaking Bhagavad Gita. And I remember I was so bored. I was fighting with my mother and father. Why the war is not starting? How many episodes this Gita is going to go on? I want action. I want to see that. So it is very intelligently placed just before the battle, so that the reader, when the reader is most attentive, now the fighting is going to happen. When the reader is most attentive, those 700 verses will come of transcendental knowledge. So Srila Vyasadeva very intelligently has placed the Bhagavad Gita, which is the essence of all scriptures, in Mahabharata at the most interesting juncture. So that even the less intelligent people who can just hear Mahabharata being recited, they will get the essence. If one understands Bhagavad Gita, one's life is successful. Ekam Shastram Devaki Putra Gitam Eko Devo Devaki Putra Eva. So that Sripad Shankaracharya has said, Mantrapi Ekam Tasya Namani Yani Karmapi Ekam Tasya Devasya Seva. Very beautiful verse. Let there be one activity. tasya devasa seva. Krishna seva. Let there be one mantra, tasya namani yani, Krishna nama. Let there be one shastra, ekam shastram, Devaki putra Gita, the Bhagavad Gita. And eko devo, let there be one God for everyone. International Society for Krishna Con. Eko devo, Devaki putra eva. So like that. So for our benefit, this Mahabharata and the Vedas were created. Then verse number 26. I think we will stop here because it's 9:33. So we read till verse number 25. And then now this chapter is very short, verse number 26 onwards, it will get over pretty quickly. But yeah, I don't want to just rush through it. So we'll continue this next time, and we may be able to go to the next chapter also next time. So we will stop here because now again, a little bit the theme is changing. So Srila Vyasadeva has done all the work, but now what is the effect of all that work? Is he satisfied or is he not satisfied? That we'll see from verse number 26. So I will stop here. Dear devotees, if there are any questions, you can please. Yes, Shamchandra Prabhu and Shama Kishori Mataji after that.
Yes, Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
So Prabhu, in verse 19, as per the understanding, there was only one Ved in the beginning, that is Yajur Ved, and the remaining divisions came from the time of Vyasadeva. Whereas in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, of all the Ved, I am Samved. So now here it appears that the Rigved, Samved and Atharvaved was from Yajur Ved it came out. So it's like a subdivision of Yajur Ved. So it means it existed before also, because Krishna said before that he's already, of all the Ved, he's Samved. So slightly, I just wanted.
Yeah. So that is the Vibhuti of Krishna. Vibhuti, as we discussed, it is in the previous chapters. It is the special, it demonstrates a special potency of Krishna. And Samaved is specifically mentioned by Krishna because Samaved has got very beautiful poetry, very beautiful poetic compositions, chandas, which are very dear to Krishna, which glorify Krishna. So therefore, the best Ved is the Samaved. But we have to understand that although initially the one Ved was called Yajur, and then they were divided into Yajur Ved, Atharvaved, Samved, Rigved. So Krishna is talking in context of the four Vedas as they exist. Of them, I am Samved.
Okay.
So he's talking from that level. That already they are divided now. Of those four, among those four, I am this. Because it has got most beautiful prayers of glorification. Like that.
Yeah, I mean, my doubt was actually Krishna said this before Vyasadeva divided into verses, isn't it?
Correct.
So which means Samved was already existing before. So Vyasadeva has classified some parts of the original Ved into Samved. Is it like that?
Yes, because Srila Vyasadeva does this in every Kali Yuga.
Okay.
And Krishna says this, Bhagavad Gita is eternal. The same knowledge was given at the beginning of creation to Surya Dev, Evam Vivasvate Yoga. So this is eternal, and this is Srila Vyasadeva's perpetual seva.
Okay.
In Kali Yuga, every time he divides like that. So it is a known fact that the Vedas will be divided.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Shama Kishori Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for the wonderful class. Prabhuji, in the last shloka, we read that, Mahabharata is meant for the less intelligent, and in that category, women are included. And my question is, why is this always generalized? Because in our day-to-day life, we can see that there could be women who are more intelligent than men. And especially when we are preaching to women, newcomers, people get offended that why are we just generalized and classified as less intelligent when we see evidence to the contrary in our day-to-day practical lives.
Correct. So this is not talking about material intelligence, because if we see in any entrance exams, many times women are toppers. Even growing up in school, in our classes, we saw many times girls used to top the class. So this is certainly not talking about material intelligence. When it is found in the scriptures that women are less intelligent, what does it actually mean? as far as the material intelligence is concerned, certainly women are not less intelligent. As far as spiritual intelligence is concerned, are women less intelligent? Aradhya Bhagwan Rajeshatanaya Tadhama Vrindavanam Ramya Kachid Upasana Vrajavadu. Vrajavadu. The greatest devotees are the gopis. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Matamidam. This is the opinion of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Gopi Bhava Rasamritabdhir Lahali Kallolo Magno Muhu. The 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan are in Gopi Bhav. So Gopi Bhav, the Manjaris, the Gopis, they are the greatest devotees, greater than the Sakhas, greater than the father of Krishna, greater than anyone, greater than the servants of Krishna. They are the greatest devotees. So spiritually, are ladies less intelligent? No. So materially, they are not less intelligent. Spiritually, they are not less intelligent. So why the scriptures are saying that women are less intelligent? That less intelligence is in the interface between material intelligence and spiritual intelligence. What does that mean? A woman, although very intelligent, from childhood, what is ingrained in a woman? That you have to look beautiful. You have to look attractive for your husband. You have to serve your husband. You have to dress nicely. So from childhood in a woman, it is ingrained that you are your body. Your value is based on how beautiful you look, or how nicely you dress, or how nicely you cook. But these are all material qualifications. And also in the previous ages, the wife would get the knowledge from her husband. The husband would take Diksha and the wife would learn from the husband. But wife would not go stay in the Gurukul. The wife would always stay under the protection of her father and then her husband. So the woman did not go to the Gurukul to learn. And it is ingrained in them that you are this body. You should look beautiful. You should put nice cosmetics and makeup and look attractive. So therefore women are, and by nature, women are very emotional. You agree to that? Women are more attached and more emotional, and Krishna has made them like that. Because unless a woman is loving and emotional and caring, how will she raise the children? Whereas men are more practical. Women are more emotional. Men are more rational and emotional. Men have to be rational to protect the family, to provide for the family, to go out and work, to face the stressful elements. And women have to be emotional and loving to take care of the children. Otherwise, how can you carry a child in the womb? How can you breastfeed a child if you don't have love? How can you teach a child? How can you raise a child? So mother is mother. Krishna has made the mother like that, emotional, very loving, very soft, very caring. Because of all this, it is very likely that a woman will think on the material plane. Although she is very intelligent, although spiritually she is very intelligent, but because of all this, she is very likely to think on the material plane that I am this body. Because of that thinking, I am this body, a woman is called less intelligent. Anyone who thinks I am this body is less intelligent, whether it is man or woman. But a woman is more likely to, because the nature of woman is made. And therefore, it is the responsibility of not only the woman, but also the husband, that the Grahastha life should be very Krishna conscious. So then what happens? All this emotional attachment, it becomes dovetailed in the service of Krishna. Now I'm attached, but I'm attached to Krishna's devotees, the children. I'm attached to my husband, but he's a Krishna Bhakta. So therefore, Krishna consciousness is very important. Without Krishna consciousness, now listen carefully, Shama Keshwari Mataji. Without Krishna consciousness, is a woman less intelligent? Yes. Without Krishna consciousness, is a man less intelligent? Yes. Without Krishna consciousness, you may be a man or a woman. You are a fool. Without Krishna consciousness, you are not only a fool, you are an animal. You are an animal. Ahara nidra bhayamaithunamscha samanametat pashubhir narana dharmo hitesham adhiko vishesho dharmena vina pashubhi samana. Pashubhi samana. Dharmena vina pashubhi. Without dharma, a man is animal. Man or woman, doesn't matter. So this is the understanding. When you bring, so basically this women are less intelligent, it applies to women who are not Vaishnavis. Is that clear? The statement that women are less intelligent because they are more on the bodily concept of life. This applies only to a woman who is not a Vaishnavi. A woman who is a Vaishnavi, this does not apply at all. Is that okay, Mataji? Sorry, let me. Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you so much. And Prabhuji, I've also heard that the soul does not have any gender. So the soul is, so someone who's a woman in this life can be a man in the next.
Absolutely.
So really, it does not matter, or it should not limit. Women should not feel, inferior or anything like that based on this.
Nothing. But our aim should not be to become a woman. Our aim should not be to become a man. Naham vipro nacha narapatir napi vaishyo na shudro. Naham varani nacha grihapatir no vanasto yatirva. Kintu prodyan nikhila parmananda purnamritabdher gopi bharatu padakamalayora dasa dasa anudasa. We simply want to become the servant of the servant of the servant of Radha Gopinath. That's all. Whether Krishna gives us a male body or Krishna gives a female body, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's immaterial. On the spiritual platform, it absolutely makes no difference. Whether we are a man or a woman, we are going to chant the same mantra, Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Whether we are man or woman, we are going to worship the same deities, Radha and Krishna. Whether we are man or woman, we are going to read the same Srimad-Bhagavatam, same Chaitanya Charitamrita. Our Ishtadev is same. It doesn't matter whether we are man or woman on the spiritual platform. On the material platform, people can debate and argue. This is better, that is better. They are doing all sorts of things. But for a devotee, it does not matter. But we should not think that next life I will become a man. What is there? What is there to become man? So no, we don't want to become man. We don't want to become woman. We want to become devotee of Krishna. Servant of the servant of Krishna. That's all we want. Krishna can do whatever he wants with us. He can make us man, woman, doesn't.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Mukta Sangha Prabhu.
Prabhu, I posted that in the chat window. So
Let me see.
So chapter 1, Rishi says, Sutta Goswami is Akhyatani api aditani. He is well versed with all scriptures and its explanation and histories of those. So how is in this chapter it says that except some Vedic Shastras he is well versed? Isn't it contradictory?
No, it is not contradictory. In the first chapter, when it is said that Srila Sutta Goswami is well learned in all the scriptures and its explanation and history, it refers to all the Bhakti Shastras that he is learned. Here, it specifically says that Srila Shaunaka Rishi is saying that he may not be learned in certain scriptures which are not directly devotional. And those scriptures we are not concerned about anyway. So like that. So it's not contradictory. There the focus is on Bhakti Shastra. Here the focus is on all Shastra.
Thank you, Prabhu. And another minor question. What are the lifespans of Treta Yuga and Dwapara Yuga, please, in a different order in other millenniums?
Yeah, so Kali Yuga is 432,000 years. Dwapara Yuga is twice that of Kali Yuga. Treta Yuga is 3 times that of Kali Yuga. And Satya Yuga is 4 times that of Kali Yuga.
No, but there is an order change in this. It says, right? First.
Yeah, in this 28th, yeah.
Yeah, Kali Yuga, Treta Yuga, and Dwapara Yuga, and Satya Yuga. So there's order change.
Yeah, order change, but the span is like that only. So in this particular Mahayuga cycle, the Treta Yuga was longer than Dwapara. Because Satya Yuga is longest, the Yuga that comes after that is second longest, the Yuga that comes after that is third longest, and Kali Yuga is shortest.
Okay, because I thought Treta is 3 times the Kali Yuga, Dwa is 2 times Dwapara.
Correct, absolutely true. But when it is reversed, when the order is reversed, so Dwapara Yuga is less, Treta Yuga is more when it is reversed.
Okay, thank you.
Srila Prabhupada writes that I have read in some purport where Srila Prabhupada writes like that. Kali Yuga is 432,000, then multiplied by 2 is Dwapara Yuga this time, multiplied by 3 is Treta Yuga, and multiplied by 4 is Satya Yuga. So whichever comes after Satya Yuga is the second longest, third is third longest, and Kali Yuga is shortest. Okay?
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Then Amrit Gaurangi Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So you commented in one of the, while talking about Madhya Adhikari and Madhya Uttama Adhikari, that they can become gurus. So what does that mean, Prabhu? Can you elaborate on that?
They can become Diksha Gurus. Srila Prabhupada writes in Nectar of Instruction, they can become Diksha Guru. So ideally a Diksha Guru should be Uttama Adhikari. but sometimes, it's not always possible to find so many Uttam Adhikari devotees. So sometimes when there is a need, even a Madhyam Adhikari under the guidance of a Uttam Adhikari can become a guru.
And that will be evaluated by the seniors, right, Prabhu? I mean, I cannot tell I am a Kanishta, Uttama.
Correct. It is by the authorities, and the devotee himself will know. Okay. For example, there was one devotee called Bipin Bihari, Srila Bipin Bihari Babaji Maharaj. Srila Bipin Bihari Babaji Maharaj. He was a Diksha Guru of Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur. And Srila Bipin Bihari Babaji Maharaj was a Madhyam Adhikari. But Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur was a Uttam Adhikari. But Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur could not find any guru. So he took Diksha from, of course, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur never thought that my guru is Uttam, my guru is Madhyam. He always worshipped him as a pure devotee. But the fact is that Srila Bipin Bihari Baba was a Madhyam Adhikari. And Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur is a Uttam Adhikari. So once Srila Bipin Bihari Maharaj came to the house of Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, and Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur received him with awe and reverence, gave him a nice place to sit, and offered his full Dandavat Pranam at the lotus feet of Srila Bipin Bihari Baba. And Srila Bipin Bihari Baba placed his lotus foot on the head of Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur. And Bimala Prasad was sitting there. Bimala Prasad is Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He was a 7-year-old boy. He was sitting in that room in the corner. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur offered Dandavat Pranam. Bipin Bihari Baba placed his lotus foot on Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur's head. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur got up and went inside to bring Prasad for his Gurudev. When he went inside, Bimal Prasad, who would later on become Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, 7-year-old boy, he told Srila Bipin Bihari Babaji Maharaj, Babaji Maharaj, don't you know who my father is? Why did you put your foot on his head? Don't you recognize who he is? So then Bipin Bihari Babaji got scared. So because Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur knew who his father is. He is Kamala Manjari. He has descended from, he's a Nitya Siddha. Whereas, we are all sadhakas, we are sadhana and kripa siddha when we become siddhas. So like that. So Srila Bipin Bihari Maharaj understood that he could not really elevate Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur. So and then Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur also understood, and he kept his distance. They actually had a difference of opinion about the position of Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. This is complex. But Srila Bipin Bihari Babaji held the view that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave Srila Raghunath Das Goswami a Govardhan Shila to worship, and not Shaligram Shila, because Srila Raghunath Das Goswami was not born in a Brahman family. Hare Krishna. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Srila Gopal Bhatta Goswami to go to Kaliganda Kirivar in Nepal and get Shaligram Shila to worship, because Gopal Bhatta Goswami was born in a high-class Brahman family as the son of Venkata Bhatta. So Srila Bipin Bihari Baba would say that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave Shaligram to Gopal Bhatta Goswami because he was a Brahman, and gave Govardhan Shila, which has no shastric basis of worship. No shastra it is mentioned that he worshipped Govardhan Shila. So he gave that Govardhan Shila to Raghunath Das Goswami because he was a Kayastha. He was not a Brahman. This is very offensive. Very, very offensive. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur rejected Srila Bipin Bihari Baba. And he took shelter of Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj. So Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport of Nectar of Instruction that a Madhyam Adhikari may become a spiritual master, but Srila Prabhupada writes, but one should know that the disciples of this spiritual master will not make a lot of advancement. And ultimately they may have to take shelter of Uttam Adhikari. But yeah, so the point is that, of course, we will not know. We don't have the adhikar to know who is Uttam, who is Madhyam. So we have to simply go by our Guru Varga. And as we make spiritual advancement, then we can understand who is a good Madhyam and who is a Uttam Adhikari. We can understand as we make spiritual advancement. Because there are qualities and criteria that is mentioned in the Shastra for these advanced devotees. So like that. Is that helpful, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhu, very much. Thank you. I have another question, Prabhu. So in one of the verses, it says all the qualities, Vyasadeva foresees the qualities, and it says impatience due to lack of goodness. What does that mean, Prabhu? So if anybody is impatient, it's because they don't have goodness?
Yes. So it is mentioned that to have patience, it requires to maintain yourself in hearing a class, or to have patience and steadiness. That comes from the mode of goodness. To be steady, to have patience, that quality comes from mode of goodness. And in Kali Yuga, Srila Prabhupada wrote in the purport that its mode of goodness is reduced to almost nil. Therefore, people don't have patience. They don't have patience. They want quick results. Jaldi diksha do. Jaldi mantra do meko. They want quick fix. Fast food. Yeah.
So even with the problems we're going in life, if we don't have patience, that's also a sign of
yes, Mataji. So opposite of patience is restlessness, and restlessness is passion.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Divya Anand Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for the wonderful class, Prabhu. Prabhu, I have two questions. First question is, Parikshit Maharaj, was he Uttama, or he became Uttama after hearing Srimad-Bhagavatam?
Hare Krishna. So I don't have any Shastric reference for this, so I cannot answer.
Okay.
But Bhagavatam says that he was Uttama Adhikari.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu. And the second question is, Prabhu, Srimad-Bhagavatam talks a lot about Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, and Dwapar Yuga. But Kali Yuga is, Bhagavatam talks about Mahaprabhu, but not in detail, because it's a hidden incarnation. But at the same time, I thought it would have helped us to understand all the Kali Yugas that have gone through, because this Kali Yuga has been repeated many times before. So is there a reason why Kali Yuga is not depicted in detail in Srimad-Bhagavatam? It does talk about the laziness and foolishness of people, but does not in detail talk about what things, like all the wars and everything that you mentioned that Vyasadeva is thinking about, but doesn't go into detail of what's happening. And also it doesn't go into the detail of talking about maybe devotees like Srila Prabhupada or others who have really spread Krishna consciousness.
No, it talks about. In the 12th canto of Srimad-Bhagavatam, there is vivid description of Kali Yuga. And how the politicians will drive the innocent people into the forests, and how people will be known to be beautiful because of their hairstyle, how there will be marriages will break, divorce. That concept was not there in the previous ages, but all that is mentioned in very detail. People will be heavily taxed, all this inflation and tax and all this we are experiencing, all that is mentioned in Srimad-Bhagavatam. As far as Srila Prabhupada is mentioned, Srila Prabhupada is also mentioned in Srimad-Bhagavatam. There is one verse in the 11th canto. It can be interpreted as Srila Sridhar Swami, the original commentator on Srimad-Bhagavatam. He says that this verse glorifies Bhagwan Sri Ramachandra. Srila Jiva Goswami says, I think Srila Jiva Goswami says that it is Krishna. That verse describes Krishna. And I think it is Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur who says this verse describes Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And our Guru Varga, they say that this verse also describes Srila Prabhupada. So that verse I can share next time. Next time means on Thursday.
Thank you.
And then there are scriptures like Chaitanya Mangal, where Srila Prabhupada is mentioned. Papi jadi dharma chhade dure deshe jaye, mora senapati bhakta jai beta thai. When the sinful people, they will give up dharma and they will go and settle in far off countries. Papi jabe dharma chhadi dure deshe jaye, they will go and settle into different countries, America and Europe and Australia and Africa. Mora senapati bhakta jai beta thai. At that time, my senapati bhakta will come, and he will go behind them in all those foreign countries and deliver them. This is Mahaprabhu's statement in Sri Chaitanya Mangal. So, it's mentioned. Details are mentioned in the 12th canto. And then our acharyas are there to give commentary. If everything is there mentioned in Srimad-Bhagavatam in black and white, then what will our acharyas do? They also have to give their tika. So, it's there, Prabhu. Everything is there in our scriptures.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Divya Agrawal Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes, I had two questions. First one was, we spoke about women being less intelligent. Now, in today, in Kali Yuga, we see that sometimes woman is more interested in, Krishna and devotional activities, and man is more intelligent in material, material education, and is more accomplished materially, and the woman is not. Then, just wondering, we see the reverse. So, how do you explain that?
In Kali Yuga, actually, both men and women, both are generally not interested in Krishna consciousness. But a woman being soft at heart, woman by nature is soft at heart. Being soft at heart, she has more inclination to surrender to a higher power. Whereas a man being rational and go-getter and the controller, I am the provider, I am providing for my family, having that ahankar, that bhav that I am the controller, I am the provider, I am the maintainer, I am the proprietor. Therefore, men are more foolish. But a woman, because a woman is soft-hearted and she has a tendency to care, you give her a deity, and a woman will very lovingly care for the deity. She will cook for the deity, she will offer flowers, she will do puja, because that nature is there to take care. So all these things, less intelligent Mataji, less intelligent, more intelligent, not intelligent, this all refers to people who are devoid of Krishna consciousness. It doesn't apply to all of us in the devotee society. So we should not pay attention to all these things. Anybody who doesn't take to Krishna consciousness, doesn't take to the study of Vedas, is less intelligent. And therefore, Shudras and low-class people, and generally women did not go to the Gurukuls. That's why it was said like that. But this should not be taken otherwise. In fact, this should be taken with the spirit of humility. Yes, as a woman, I am less intelligent. Mosama patita prabhu tribhuvan nai. I am the most fallen. Yes, please give me mercy. Because dinera adhika daya kare bhagavan. Pandita kulina dhani bada abhiman. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says in Chaitanya Charitamrita that dinera adhika daya kare bhagavan. Krishna gives more mercy to someone who is karpanya, who has got dainyata. They will get more mercy. But someone who thinks I am intelligent will never get Krishna's mercy. Pandita, Kulina, Dhani, Bada Abhiman. These people have a lot of Abhiman and they don't get Krishna. So therefore we should take it in a spirit of humility. Someone says, you are less intelligent. Yes, I am less intelligent. Please pray for me that I get Krishna. I get Krishna. But who is intelligent? Yajanti hi sumedhasa. One who worships Krishna as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with Nam Sankirtan. Krishna Varnam Tvisa Krishnam Sangopangastra Parshadam Yadnyay Sankirtan Aprayer Yajanti hi sumedhasa. Anyone who worships Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with Nam Sankirtan is intelligent. So in Kali Yuga, anyway, everything is topsy-turvy. We see that everybody is less intelligent. So don't worry, not only men, even women, everybody, men, women, children, everybody is less intelligent in Kali Yuga. Yesterday, one patient of mine died in the hospital. She knew she was going to die. She had AV fistula. AV fistulas are made for patients who need dialysis. Okay. She is 89 years. She was 89 years old, and she developed an aneurysm in the AV fistula, where artery and vein is connected. She developed an aneurysm. Aneurysm means it becomes huge and it's about to blow out. It's about to rupture. Very life-threatening condition. And she is 89 years old. She had kidney failure. Of course, she was on dialysis, and she had multiple problems. So it was just a matter of time. It was going to pop, and she was DNR, do not resuscitate, and she didn't want to undergo any surgery. And when an aneurysm ruptures, it's a major surgery. You have to, try to stop the bleeding. You may even have to amputate the arm. She said, I don't want to do all that, which meant she was going to bleed to death. It was a time bomb ticking. So she was going to die. She knew it. So I gave her morphine, gave her, made her comfortable, gave her Ativan medicine to relax and everything. And she was in her room. Her daughter came. Daughter was sitting at her bedside, holding her hand, and she was just going to die. And exactly at 11 o'clock at night, the aneurysm popped, and we just had to cover it with gauze pieces, and she just slowly bled to death. And what was her last desire? So she knew she was going to die. What was her last desire? I want to watch a horror movie. So when I was called last night to sign her death certificate, at 12 o'clock at night, I walk into her room. She's lying there dead, and on the TV, the horror movie is still going on. There are all these zombies getting up from the grave. This was the last thing she saw before dying. Is that intelligence? No. In Kali Yuga, everybody is, and I see this every day. Such things repeating. So where is Bhakshila Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj, who has got Giriraj on his head, Shaligram Shila in his hand, Radhakund water in his lotus mouth, and Vrajraj from the Rasasthali smeared on his body, wearing the garland of Shriji from Barsana around his neck, Tulsi, and chanting Harinam, surrounded by devotees doing Harinam Sankirtan, and at the lotus feet of Radha Damodar in Gita Nagari, he's leaving his body and going back to Golok Vrindavan. Where is that? And where is this? So all these things apply to those who are not Krishna conscious. Not Krishna conscious means Mudha. Namam Dushkrityono Mudha Prapadyante Naradama. But for devotees, these things, intelligent, doesn't apply. Jai Bhaje Krishna Sei Bada Chatur. Anyone who worships Krishna is very intelligent. So is it okay, Divya Mataji? Best is we become Krishna conscious. Then all these things, questions don't apply. Okay. So we have Amrit Karan Prabhuji. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandot Pranam.
Dandot Pranam Prabhuji. It's a wonderful class and explanation. Actually, Srila Vyasdev consolidated all the philosophical principle into his Vedanta Sutra. So can you just give us some glimpse about the philosophical principle a little bit?
The glimpse about what?
Yeah, about our philosophical principle. Just talk the philosophy about the 6 rishis.
Oh, Krishna. No, Prabhu, I don't know that. The philosophies of the 6 rishis?
Yeah, just
like Jaimini Rishi, Vaisheshika and all those?
Yeah. Just a little bit.
I don't know, but there is one devotee in Shishya Radha Raswari temple, Juhu. What is his name? Shamchandra Prabhu? Our disciple of Srila Bhakti Sarup Damodar Maharaj, his PhD, Vice President of ISKCON Juhu. Shamchandra Prabhu knows. So that Prabhuji, he gave a very nice presentation on these different philosophies, the 6 philosophies. And maybe I can share that lecture. Shamchandra Prabhu, I think, just left, but he knows. Anybody knows? Vice President of ISKCON Juhu? What is his name? I'm forgetting now. But anyway, I will share. He's an expert on these topics.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Navina Radha Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you so much
Hare Krishna.
for the nice. So I have a very small question. Like you said that we discuss about the 9 stages of bhakti. So which are aligned with the Kanishth Uttamaadhikari and Madhyam Uttamaadhikari and Uttam Uttamaadhikari? I missed that point. Like
the Uttamaadhikari. Yes, Mukunda Madhav Prabhu, Ladini Gopik Madhav. Yes, Mukunda Madhav Prabhu. You know Mukunda Madhav Prabhu, Amrit Karan Prabhu? Mukunda Madhav Prabhu? Very nice devotee. Very humble, very nice devotee, very great scholar.
I heard his name, but I don't know personally.
Mukunda Madhav Prabhu. I will send you his lectures. Very nice, Mukunda Madhav. Thank you, Ladini Gopik Madhav. So Navina Radha Mataji, it is so Kanishta Uttam is Asakti, Madhyam Uttam is Bhav, and Uttam is Prem.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Shama Vallabhi Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Prabhuji, this is a general question, whether the women should mark their body 12 tilaks, whether they should decorate their body like that.
What?
Women, should they put 12 tilak marks on the body?
Yes. Dwadasha tilak. Yes, women also.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. And then one more doubt, Prabhuji, while recording this shlokas, I forget the sequence actually. I try to memorize the shlokas, but I forget the sequence. So should I write the starting of the verse and then see that and then start the next shloka like that?
Where? While putting tilak? Applying tilak?
No, Prabhuji, this is another question. Or recording this one, shlokas, recitation. So I forget the sequence after which shloka should come. So,
no problem. So yeah, you can see the first word. No problem.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Shamchandra Prabhu, we are talking about Mukunda Madhav Prabhu. Yeah, okay. Our Amrit Karana Prabhu was asking about the different philosophies of the 6 sages. So I told him I don't know, but our Mukunda Madhav Prabhu is very good resource on these topics. He can explain all these philosophies very nicely, isn't it?
Mukund Madhava Prabhu of Mumbai.
ISKCON Juhu.
ISKCON Juhu, Vice President of ISKCON Juhu.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, he can be a good resource, Prabhu. Sorry, I missed your question earlier. I had just gone off the table for a second. So what was the question, Prabhu?
All these different philosophies, Prabhuji wanted a synopsis of, Jaimini.
Actually, Mukund Madhav Prabhu has done his thesis on this, and he has done his PhD is on Vedanta Sutra.
Yeah, so, that is what Prabhuji was asking.
Yes.
Prabhu. So we will connect him to Mukunda Madhav Prabhu.
I can do that. I can connect him to Mukund Madhav Prabhu.
Jai. Thank you. Let me quickly go through the. Sonali Mataji, you have raised your hand.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, just one request that like in chat, sometimes these links are, shared. So we miss that because once the Zoom meeting is gone. So is there any way we can just save it or, share it in our group?
The chat?
So in the chat, like today, 2 links are shared. So I'm just saving it someplace. So I was wondering if we can just, share it in our WhatsApp group or.
Mukunda, Mukta Sangha Prabhu, what should we do? Sorry.
Sometimes
yes,
even questions are very nice, Prabhuji.
All the chat history is stored in the Zoom when we do Zoom recording. So there's a file which stores all the chat history. So that file we can share in our WhatsApp group.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you. Okay.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I had one more question, but I couldn't unmute. This is Divya.
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah, I mean, since I heard you speak about Ayurveda, I mean, we know Ayurveda is very authorized, but today we see it doesn't work. Eventually we have to take to allopathy. So how do we understand that? I mean, we know Ayurveda comes from Dharmantri, who is the incarnation of Krishna. Then it should work better than allopathy, but it doesn't.
Correct. So all the sufferings that are there in this age of Kali, they are man-made because we have created so much pollution, so much air pollution, soil pollution, water pollution, environmental pollution, radiations, and because of that we are getting all these mutations, cancers, and so many diseases, and then unhealthy lifestyle leading to so many infections like HIV and hepatitis and syphilis and gonorrhea. Antibiotics are being used to treat them, and then we have multi-drug resistant organisms that are coming up. So all these problems, Divya Mataji, these are Kali Yuga problems, whereas Ayurveda was given in Satya Yuga, when everything was pure. The herbs with which the Ayurvedic medicines are made, they were pure. There was no soil pollution. There was no water pollution. Now the environment is polluted. So the Ayurvedic herbs that are used to make the Aushadhi, the medicines, they are not pure. They don't have the potency. The herbs don't have the potency because they are all not pure. And the human body is so contaminated. From our childhood, we have taken all these allopathic medicines and we are exposed to so much pollution that pure science will not work. Ayurveda, I'm not saying Ayurveda doesn't work. It still works. But if someone is having a massive heart attack, then I would not go to a Vaidya. I would go to a cardiologist who can, put a stent and save the life. But the point I'm trying to make is the diseases that we have in Kali Yuga, all these cancers, we don't read about them in the Shastra, which means they were not there. We never read that in the Shastra someone got skin cancer or someone got big lymphoma or any of these things. We don't read about them. We don't read about anyone getting dementia, Alzheimer's dementia in the Shastras. That means these things did not. These are Kali Yuga maladies, Kali Yuga diseases. And therefore, we cannot expect that Ayurveda will work when the Ayurvedic medicines are not pure, and the Vaidya who is practicing Ayurveda, most of them have not learned it the proper way. You have to learn Sanskrit, you have to go to the original Sanskrit text and learn it in a Gurukul, and you have to practice Ayurveda without charging a single penny as fee. But now everything is commercial. People go and they do BAMS, Bachelor of Ayurvedic Medicine and Science, in a 4 or 5 year old university. course, how is that going to make you a Vaidya? So the Vaidyas are not pure. The medicines, because of influence of Kali Yuga and pollution, are not pure herbs. So the medicines don't have potency. And the patients, their bodies are so severely contaminated because of the pollution and the Kali Yuga atmosphere that these pure medicines will not work. Ayurveda is a very pure natural science without any side effects. And it is meant for certain diseases which are not artificially man-created. But now we are dealing with all these man-created Kali Yuga diseases. So we cannot expect that Ayurveda will work. And it is a result of our own karma, and we have to pay the price individually and collectively, unfortunately. So now we have all these allopathic treatments which simply treat the symptoms, or they simply treat the manifestations of the disease, but not the disease itself. And so we treat something, there's a problem, we give a pain medicine to a patient, and that causes stomach ulcers. Then we give them pantoprazole to treat that stomach ulcer. That pantoprazole is going to cause osteoporosis. Then you give them injections for osteoporosis, put them on calcium, vitamin D, and do DEXA scan and do. So it's like that you treat one problem and you are creating two other problems. You treat them, you are creating four other problems. That's why you have so many pharmaceutical business and so many things. This is only going to get worse as Kali Yuga progresses. There is no solution. Best is to chant Hare Krishna, become Krishna conscious, and get out of this world. Go to the spiritual world and eternally serve Radha and Krishna there under the guidance of Shri Guru. This world is things are going to get worse. A time will come when these classes will not be allowed. Satsang will not be allowed. It will become banned. It will be illegal to preach. It will be illegal to do Harinam Sankirtan on the streets. All these things are going to happen. Our acharyas are saying this. Ghor Kali Yuga is going to come. Very bad things are going to happen in the future. So therefore, we are on an emergency. We should take our life very seriously and try to perfect our life in this lifetime only. All Harikathas will be banned. People will not be able to speak about God. All this will be considered to be propaganda and nonsense and harmful for the nation. And we will all be banned. Already in many countries, we are banned. Krishna consciousness is banned. In countries like China and Russia, this is going to happen everywhere. Imagine can we preach Krishna consciousness in Saudi Arabia, in the Muslim countries, in Pakistan, in Bangladesh? This is going to happen. These populations are going to increase, and things will only get worse as Kali Yuga progresses. So we have to take this golden opportunity, and instead of trying to find solutions in Kali Yuga, we should find the ultimate solution, the solution for all problems, and that is Krishna consciousness. And we should make our life perfect. Kaler dosha nidhe rajan. How many dosh we are going to fight? It's an ocean of faults. Kaler dosha nidhe rajan astiyo eka mahan guna kirtana deva Krishna se mukta sangha param braja. We should make our life perfect by taking shelter of Krishna. Is that okay, Divya Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you.
Hare Krishna. Let me quickly go through the chat box, make sure I didn't miss any question. Yes, this is the verse, Sugandha Mataji, 11.5.34. Tyaktva sudustya sure sitarajya lakshmim dharmishta arya vachasa yadagadharanyam maya mrigam dayitaye psitam anvadhavad vande mahapurushate charanarvindam. This Mahapurush can be Shri Ramchandra, can be Shri Krishna Chandra, can be Shri Gaura Chandra, and can be Srila Prabhupada also. His Grace Amarendra Prabhu has given a class on this, explaining all four. So, yeah, 16 predictions of Srimad-Bhagavatam. Thank you, Vinit Prabhu. Vinit Prabhu, what did he share? Chaitanya Charan Prabhu's brilliant article, Why Women Are... very nice. Yes, I had one question. Okay, so we did not miss any question. So we'll close the box, chat box. Thank you very much, dear devotees, for your patience. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Granthara Srimad-Bhagavatam ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi. Hari Hari Bo. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. We'll not meet tomorrow. We'll meet day after tomorrow, Thursday. Oh wait, Thursday.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
You all want to meet tomorrow? You all want to meet tomorrow or Thursday? Tell me. We'll choose any one day.
Tomorrow.
Thursday, Prabhu.
Tomorrow is fine too.
Thursday, Prabhu.
Thursday.
Okay, Thursday. Thursday. We'll meet on Thursday. Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you.